Hi guys, and welcome to week 3 of sociology. This week we're going to be talking about how sociologists do research to find out about what's going on in the world around us and what we perceive to be true. So, thinking about this, we're going to start with looking at the social construction of reality. How do we determine what is real and what isn't real? Living in the United States, we have this idea of Western medicine. When we get sick, we go to a doctor and we look for drugs to cure our ailment. If we lived in a different society, we may seek out prayer. We may seek a spiritual advisor. There may even be a witch that comes in and performs something. You know, you may have a demon extraction. And in Western culture, we're going to say, oh my gosh, that's crazy, because we don't believe that to be true, and we don't believe that to work. However, in a different culture where they hold that reality, they're going to say, this does work. I have seen this work. And they are going to throw away this concept of Western medicine. So our reality is based off of the time that we're living in, the culture we're living in. There's all kinds of things that can affect it. Let's consider just even the idea of smoking or drinking while pregnant. Years ago, doctors would tell women, if you're pregnant and you need to relax, why don't you just go ahead and have a martini? Smoke a cigarette, it's good for your lungs, it makes them stronger. Now, because of the time that we live in and all the leaps and bounds of progress that have been made in the medical field, we know that smoking and drinking are bad for pregnant women. So we've changed. Our reality has changed. And this happens continuously over time. So just this idea of reality being socially constructed is essentially like our reality is a product of human interaction. It's influenced by culture and social institutions, and we reinforce these realities by our behaviors. If you go into a situation and you're uncomfortable, you don't know how to behave, you're going to make a guess based on your life experience of how to behave. And as the other person starts to interact with you the same way, you're solidifying that reality. You're solidifying this is the way you behave in this situation. So where do you learn how to behave? You're socialized to learn how to behave. Where does it start? Okay, you're born. Immediately you have these parents that are in positions of authority. They're teaching you, when you go to this place, you're quiet. You behave this way. When you go into school, is it natural to just go in? Is it just instinctive that people go in and sit down and take on this position of subordination to the instructor? No, that's a learned behavior. It's reinforced over time. It starts in preschool or kindergarten, and it goes all the way through college. The instructor stands up, takes this position of authority over the students. The students sit there and are supposed to be quiet in their seats and not talk back and not challenge authority. We are taught these realities of how we are supposed to behave. Also, the textbook touches on this idea of a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a small part, but can be really important just in our lives and how we create self-fulfilling prophecies. So for an example, thinking about my own life, I told myself I wasn't good in math. When it came to the time of starting to do fractions, I really, really struggled in school. And so I told myself, you suck at math, Desiree, you suck. You can't do it. So as I got into college and I was doing math, I was telling myself, I can't do it. I struggled immensely. Calculus was the hardest class I've ever taken. And it hasn't been until I was older and I stopped kind of listening to those tapes going on in my head that I realized just because I don't understand one concept of math doesn't mean I don't understand math in general. I created a self-fulfilling prophecy for myself. I struggled in math because I told myself I couldn't do it. So we do that all the time with just anything in our lives, even with relationships. I'm never going to have a happy relationship. I'm doomed to be alone. Well, you can create that self-fulfilling prophecy if you keep telling yourself that. It's really important to think about how our words shape our lives. And just think about how else we construct reality. What about economic reality? Who decides what's art? Who decides that some piece of art is something wonderful? I remember being in a art gallery, a museum in London, looking at these pictures. It was just a red line up on a white canvas. And this thing was supposed to be worth millions of dollars. And I'm like, I can paint a red line on a canvas. What makes this a piece of art? What makes this some wonderful thing? Well, it's because somebody in a position of authority decided that was good art. So, and think about politics. With the way the media is now and the way word travels so quickly, before we even have a chance to second guess a question, it's already in our minds. If we think that so Senator Jack slept with his secretary, by the time it's already through the media, the damage is done. Before that can be retracted and, oh, that's not true, we already have it in our mind that Senator Jack slept with his secretary. And the media messages reflect the dominant cultural values. So the media chooses what it wants to cover, what's going to get the most buzz. And so and also this idea that the media is controlled by mostly by a couple people. So we're getting the same thing no matter what we're tuning to. If you look at a news channel, you're going to get the same stories on each channel and what's important for that person. Okay, before I get cut off, I'm going to move on to a second video.